Basically, we first attended the church. I was, I think, around 11 years old. We moved to Antigua when I was 9 years old. My grandmother, she never liked the UK that much because she's like, up here is too cold. So she liked to stay in the Caribbean. And that time, Montserrat was really bad with the volcano. So Antigua was the destination at that point. She got to know about the church from a fellow Dominican friend that was living not too far from us and stuff. And then because they're Dominicans nationality wise, they kept going and, you know, socializing and going and stuff to the church together and things. My she became good friends with Elizabeth, Esther, Miss Sanders. She became good friends with Yinka. She's no longer in Antigua as well. She's an African lady. Her husband was a professor, I think, in a medical university in Antigua. He passed away, and then when he passed away, she left Antigua. There's just so much. Like, I don't even know where to start, but I could tell you about my grandmother's story, and then I could tell you bits and pieces all over. My thing is, since I was 10, 11 years old, he have been having this building fund. Like, you have your tithes, you have your offering, and you have the building fund. Then when he's traveling, you have traveling funds. So you have all these different type of funds, you know? And then these people, they give so much to it. As an adult, now looking back on certain things, these people are not giving of their own conscious mind and of their own conscious thought. And the reason why I would say this, because so many things that I see happen that are so crazy now as an adult, and you look back on it, like, for instance, my grandmother, she has properties in Dominica. My grandmother, she collects her pension fund from Montserrat. We have all our family here in the UK and family in America, like there's nothing else in the Caribbean. So what reason do my grandmother have now to come to Antigua and work as a cleaner? Does that make any sense? She doesn't have no reason to work at all. But then when she collect her money every month, and when I say when she collect her money, I'm talking of thousands of EC dollars. She gives him everything. She gives everything to that church, and then she only survives on the little that she makes cleaning at Carib World Travel in Woods. I'm dead ass serious. That's all she lives off. And she has her properties that she's collecting money from and giving it to this church. These are grown ass people that they know what they're doing, but before entering that regime and before entering that church and before it's not even a church, it's supposed to be a cult or whatever it is. My grandmother never used to be like that. So then what has changed from since she entered that system to, you understand? Now, I will tell you the story of how my grandmother died, basically. I could remember it like it was yesterday. Basically, I had some kind of spelling competition thing, you know? And I left with Nadia, that's Elizabeth's daughter, because we were on the same team. And my grandmother went to that church that Sunday because they wanted some money because the pastor was going to Africa and he said he needed some money. So then she went to give him this money to help him travel. So basically, when I reached back home, my grandmother told me that this is how they would give her a ride back home, but then no one wanted to drive the direction she was going. So she ended up walk home in the rain. That following Saturday, she got pneumonia. The next Saturday, she died. Now, when she was in the hospital of getting better, like better in the fact that she's up talking, and they say she would be ready to go home. This was the Friday. I used to go to see her every time in the hospital, and she's fine. Then no one from the church had visited her at that time. Then after, to find out that Friday night, that people from the church came there and visited her. And then the next day, the same night, the following in the night, I think it was like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, after they came and visited her, which was that same pastor, then she died. He used his tricks on like the older generation type of people. And I can't even say the older generation type of people, because a lot of the people in there are young, but some of the young people that are in there, they have been in there from since they're kids, so they're brainwashed in this type of way to feel that it's okay. But it's not okay, because he just takes and takes and takes and leave them with nothing. Like he takes everything that you work for, everything that you have all your life, and then leaves you with nothing, and then looking at you like, oh, you're supposed to be doing better for yourself, when he is the one not doing shit, and then driving like a big car, living in a big house, and he's conning these members out of money, like, oh, I'm about to donate some money to Africa, so I need this money to carry back things to Africa. And people, they're donating clothes, shoes, like things that they have, they go buy, plus money for this trip to Africa, plus certain things to give him when he's traveling. Apart from that, we need the building fund. The building fund has been going on from since I've been 10 years old. I'm now 32 years old, and there is no building. So you're saying over 15 years, people have been donating generously to this building fund, and there is still no building. But yet he was able to buy himself a big house. Yes, he was able to get himself a car and all these other things. It's ridiculous. And then if the government want to leave someone for doing something like that, think about it as a modern country now. Like if it was somewhere like in America or UK, they would at least tax the shit out of him and get some benefit out of it. But no, you have this man that is not even a Caribbean born man, that may not be able to even do these things in the country that he's from, come to the Caribbean and con Caribbean people and living off of the life of them, and nothing is being done. It's like, okay, I'm not for the gossip, but this is something that I also heard about, and then I could tell you the facts that I know and the facts that I'm not sure if it's true. At this current moment, I heard that there's a young girl in the church pregnant for him, goes by the name of, let's say J, because her name starts with J. And she's actually teaching other people, young kids, which I think that's crazy, because I wouldn't want no one from that organization around my children. But fair enough. When I was younger, because as I told you, I was around them between the ages of 10 to about 13, 14 years old. When I was younger, I remember this girl, her mom. Her mom was actually friends with my grandmother as well, because her mom is from Dominica. And I can remember a conversation, because I'm little, you're listening into big people conversation, and then you're going on your own type of way situation. And I remember the mother was speaking to my grandmother about leaving the church, that she didn't want anything else to do with the church, that she had something going on, like some kind of argument going on with the pastor's wife or something like that. And this was the Wednesday. She put my grandmother and this other lady aside. They're all Dominicans, and they're all talking about leaving, that she would leave and stuff like that. And then it was my surprise when dragged to this church on Sunday to find out that this lady is dead. This lady that was perfectly fine on the Wednesday, by the Sunday, they're claiming that she lost her mind and she died. The crazy part about it, there was a controversy saying that this lady had feelings for the pastor, so the devil came into her mind and sent her crazy. Like there was some kind of sexual temptation between she and the pastor. Okay, so if there was a sexual temptation between you and this woman, why are you sleeping with her daughter today? Her daughter that had been around you from since she was maybe 6 years old? Please not tell me if this is not some pedophile type of shit that you saw this little girl grow up. Now she's a grown woman because she's born in 1988, so she's 32. So yes, she's a grown woman now, but you've been around her from since she's about 6, 7 years old, little child. Because if I came around when I was 10 and they were in the church long before us, that means you know her from since she's a tiny little girl, and you slept with this girl, you have her pregnant, and your wife is still there. That is disgusting. There's another story. There's so many things that I said that this man is intertwined with, that he should be investigated properly by the authorities. Or are you saying that Antigua authorities don't have that kind of mentality or intelligence to do something about it? There was this other story about this little girl, and I'm not trying to disrespect her parents in any form or matter, because I know her parents are very still well and alive, and in Antigua I don't know if they're still members of the church. Last I found out, they were still members of the church. This little girl, she was such a little sweetheart. Yes, she was a little rowdy, but she's a little sweetheart. I know this little girl because I used to do her hair when she was little, and it was saddening for me to hear that when I left that she died. Apparently, I think she died with cancer or something. And instead of the pastor confront the mother about this tragic incident has happened, he said that it's because she's so rude that the devil has taken over her, and that's why she died so young. And when I say this little girl, she was no older than 12 years old. So much that has gone on over the years. There's so much, and there's like nothing has ever been done or looked into, but there's so much. And yes, with some people saying that he did rob Elizabeth, he did. He was the main reason to even cause a wedge between Elizabeth and her daughter. He used Elizabeth like a bank check. You understand what I mean? Like, he used her like a check. Basically, if anybody is in the church getting married, it's at her house in Hodges Bay. It's at her house in Hodges Bay. If he's having something, it's at her house in Hodges Bay. If he can't afford, if they can't afford to pay for something, it's at her house in Hodges Bay. Like, her house became like the hall for the church. Any kind of thing that they're having, Easter event, everything was at her house in Hodges Bay. And she gives and she gives and she gives. It's not normal. And I think that's the thing that maybe, no disrespect to her family, because she was such a nice lady. I think maybe that's a thing that maybe her daughter have seen or something that she got fed up of. Because what normal person, just like my grandmother, I would say, what normal person, you have the funds to take care of yourself. You have the funds to live comfortable. You have the funds not to work. What normal person is giving you all this money just like this and saying like they will go and work extra harder and just continue give and give and give? It's not normal. And because he takes this regular trips whatever to Africa, and I'm gonna say it sometime, I think that how he maybe do black magic or something on these people. I know now this is where it's going to come like, she has lost us because now she's saying black magic and all these kind of things. And a lot of people do not believe in it. And I'm not one for theory for believing in it. But I have seen a difference with my grandmother itself, with going to that church and not going to the church. There was a big difference. Touching these people's head, have them falling on the ground and kicking up themselves, that their clothes are even coming off of them and all these kind of things, telling them that, oh, it's the Holy Spirit and all them kind of things. What kind of nonsense is that is about the Holy Spirit? I'm not saying people can't get touched by God and all these kind of things, but I do not believe this man is the man to let you be touched by God. One of the most disgusting things I have ever encountered, he feeds off of embarrassing people. You know, he likes to embarrassing people, like, oh, this is why this person is this way. This is why you're not striving. You know, he feeds off of embarrassing people to make himself look better, to make himself look like, oh, he is the good thing. Like he's God gives to man. Like, you know, so I will give you an example. I remember this scenario when I was young. I think I was like 13 at this point when this situation happened. He decided that everyone in the church need to point out who they have slept with in the church, and if they have slept with anyone in the church or anyone outside of the church, and the details of the sleepcation, like who they slept with, like, you know, had sex with, intercourse with, in a church, in front of everyone. He decided, he is God gives to man, decided to embarrass these people in this type of way. And I can remember this one girl, she I think she's a teacher now as well. She attended at that time Antigua Girls High School, and he had her stand up there in front of the whole church and say how many people she slept with, how many times she slept with the people. It had this one, and at this time I think she was about 13 too, and she had to get into details of the sleeptation. And you know, I was young, so this was like spicy at that time. You know, I would sit down and I was like, oh, okay. And when I left, I went home with my friends that wasn't part of it, and I had to tell them the whole details of what happened. But now looking back at it as an adult, that is disgraceful. You don't do that to a young lady. No one give you the authority to do that to someone. Are you her father? Are you her parent? Who are you? If you believe in the Bible, isn't God supposed to be the only judge? So who are you to put people up there to bear their all and to embarrass them and to be judge, jury, and what you want to be executioner? And as far as I know, you don't even have a law license. So who are you? Many things I can share as far as even having that midnight mass thing that he used to do, that take us to this beach in the middle of the night. And then I wasn't into that. So then my grandmother used to let me stay in that time, the church bus, and sleep if I wanted to, because I ain't on it, you know. And that's one thing I did like about my grandmother. Unlike some of the other parents, they used to be like push the child, like do this, do whatever he say. No, that's one thing I say. My grandmother, she wasn't like that with me. So I used to stay in the bus and sleep. And then you hear them outside there chanting all kind of nonsense in the middle of the night, 12 o'clock in the night, you know, at some beach shit. What kind of church do things like that? But I want to only speak on mostly my experience of it and things that happened that affected my family. So there's a lot of things I see that happen with a lot of people, a lot of different families, and broke up a lot of families. Like a church supposed to be putting families together, not breaking families apart. Of the Guyanese ladies that just got kicked out of the church the other day, and no disrespect to her daughter, because I'm cool with her daughter and stuff like that, but it's like, how do you feel now that this man drove a wedge behind you and your child, that your child run away how many times from home to get away from this situation, and you beat her, you shame her, you let the whole of Antigua know things about her that did not need to know, and things that wasn't true. You had them paint her like she was a prostitute, like she was something, like she was sleeping around. And you know, as a parent, she wasn't sleeping around, because there's many times, when she ran away from home, she used to come to our house. And then my grand used to tell you that she's there. But then you made it seem like she's run away to go into boys' house and all these kind of things. It's just that she didn't want to go to your church every single day. Like, you want to go to church every single day. You didn't want her to go to nothing after school. You didn't want her to go to those school trips and all kind of stuff, because you wanted her to be like the holy picture for the church. How do you feel now that this church, the same one that destroyed that relationship between you and your child, has now kicked you out? Things like that is ridiculous. This cult thing is not normal. And if they're going to keep it in a small country like Antigua, at least the government should profit off of it, because he's destroying your citizen's life, and he's not a citizen. He's not born there. Maybe he got his naturalization papers, but he's an African man. He's not born in the Caribbean. So if you want him to come there and take advantage, just like how you have these, what they call it, the Syrians coming and taking advantage, and the Chinese want to come and take advantage, tax the shit out of them. Because just like if a black person, a black Antiguan or whatever, go to America or go to the UK or go anywhere else in the world, they'll be ridiculed, they will be judged, and they will be taxed very highly. So if they can do it to your people, why not do it to other people, and start and treat him like an example? Use him as an example for others. Because don't make it seem like it's okay to come into the country and scam and use the citizens of your country, and then you do not do anything about it. Use him as an example for the public and for people to know that it's not right. If you're a black country, and fair enough, he is a black man because he's a black African man, but stand up for the black citizens of your country and do something about it.